Please welcome to the stage Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Intuit, Brad Smith.
Wow. Welcome to the 4th annual QuickBooks Connect conference. Whether you're attending this year for the first time or you are a returning veteran, welcome home. It is awesome to spend time with you each year at QuickBooks Connect. In fact, it is my favorite talk of the year. And the reason for that is because at its core, QuickBooks Connect is about celebrating the entrepreneurial dream, which means it's a celebration of each and every one of you. When we first envisioned QuickBooks Connect, we wanted to find a way to bring together and to celebrate this amazing community. In doing that, we wanted to offer inspiration and education, and we also wanted to look for ways to create connections that help us all thrive. Just look around you in this room. There are 5,000 amazing people in this building today, and there are tens of thousands more watching this online. And while most of you may not actually know each other in person, you are not strangers to one another because you have more in common than you may know. Each of you had the courage to follow your dream. Each of you had the courage to take the leap, to put in the long days and yes, sometimes the weekends, all in pursuit of your passion. This quiet, maybe, humble, hardworking community is part of something really, really special. And it happens person by person, day by day, shift by shift. And what you individually invest in is collectively changing the world. Together, you account for more than half of all of the jobs in the United States, and you generate more than 40% of the gross domestic product in emerging economies. In fact, 60% of all new jobs getting created around the world are starting in small businesses. Said more simply, you are the backbone of our local communities and you are powering the global economy, and that is something we're celebrating. Now, I can tell you, this is a community that I am honored and humbled to serve. And coming to QuickBooks Connect each year gives me an opportunity to rekindle why I and 8,000 employees with Intuit badges wake up every morning with our hearts beating incredibly fast and getting out of bed ready to go to work. And my hope is by attending this year's QuickBooks Connect, you get the opportunity to do something very unusual. The opportunity to press pause. Now, when I say press pause, what do I mean? Well, all of us have machines. We know what happens when you press pause. The machine stops working. Nothing gets done. But when you press pause in a person's life, that's when the real work begins. We begin to reflect. We take stock. We gather insights. We get our second wind. And then we begin to reimagine new paths. But if you're anything like me, one of the most rarest commodities you have in your life is time. These supercomputers we carry in our pockets called smartphones give us everything we need at the touch of a screen, but time. But the reality is we all need that opportunity to press pause and to create moments of reflection. They say running water casts no reflection, but still water becomes a mirror. So my hope is over the next couple of days, you use this opportunity to press pause, to take a break from your daily grind, take time to ask yourself some very important questions. Reflect on where you are, where you're going, and what your center will be. Now, to do that, I'm going to ask you to just take a moment and think about what you see as you look out over the horizon. What are the opportunities that you imagine for yourself and your business or firm? And what are the challenges? I believe the greatest challenge we all face is this incredible pace of change. There's this old Chinese proverb. You've probably heard of it. It says, "May you live in interesting times." Now, what we forget is the Chinese actually meant that as a curse. All you need to do is turn on the news or read the newspaper, and you realize we are indeed living in interesting times. One groundbreaking technology after another has followed. Starting in 2007, the iPhone opened the floodgates. It was followed by a surge in social networks and big data, the cloud, mega platforms, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, conversational user interfaces, and out on the horizon, there's even more. And it is changing the very notion of what we now believe is possible. Globalization has both shrunk and expanded the world. It's changed our view of markets and borders, and it has opened up new opportunities while creating new competition. And the very ground under our feet is truly shifting as a result of climate change. These are interesting times indeed. Thomas Friedman, you may have heard of him. He's a renowned columnist for the New York Times, recently wrote a book called Thank You for Being Late. In that book, he suggests we're living in an era of exponential change, where all of these events are integrating and building on each other, and they're producing a rate of change that is faster and faster and faster. He compares this to a feeling of being in a car going 0 to 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds. Now that is both exhilarating and scary, but even for the most adrenaline junkie versions of ourselves, no one wants the ride to feel that way the entire time, 24/7. Now Friedman says this is creating this sense of disorientation. And this disorientation or this uneasiness is because of a gap that's occurring between this pace of change and our human ability to adapt to change. And this gap is creating anxiety and tension in society all around us. So if you ever have a dark day where you're not sure about the future, if you're not sure you can keep up, if you can't even make sense of this crazy world and what's happening, I want you to know you're not alone. I feel it, the person next to you feels it, and we are all experiencing this together. But change, it's a two-sided coin. On one side is challenge, the other side, opportunity. And there are some out there that are daunted by all this change. They want to close their eyes, they hope that it will go by quickly, and they long for the old days and the old ways. But that is not you. And that's not this community. This group are the brave ones. You are the ones who had the courage to pursue your dreams. You are the ones who are willing to embrace change. And you are the ones that are making the future. And then our job as a community is to come together and to close that gap that Thomas Friedman talked about. Find ways to pull us all up and to flip that coin from challenge to opportunity. Because we know we don't have a choice. We either lean into the future or we get lost in the past. But here's the key. When doing this, we have got to find a way to become the newer version of ourselves without forgetting who we are in the process. Every one of us as individuals, as companies, as communities, need to define that center, that moral compass for when the storm hits, and to find that core that stays true in tough times and helps keep us focused on what is most important in our lives. Because when you know that center, that part of you that will not change, it gives you permission to embrace everything else and to basically reimagine and adapt to the future. And you do that without losing who you are in the process. Now, finding your center, it's easier said than done. No two centers are the same. Each of us has that something at the heart of who we are, or the businesses or the firms that we operate in that fuels our passion to push forward. So how do you find your center? By asking 3 questions. First of all, what are your values? What is it that you stand for? What is it that your company stands for? How will you treat others? How do you want others to treat you? The second, what is your mission? What is your why? Why did you start the business that you started? What impact do you hope to leave on society when you're finished? And third, how do you define success? Because each one of us have a unique definition of success. I encourage you to use your time here, away from the day-to-day, and reflect on these 3 questions. and take the time to write down the answers. Because when you get home, it's important that you not only talk to yourself about these things, you pen them up, you talk to your team. You review them every night. And it may feel awkward, and you may even think it feels a little unnecessary and maybe a little California-y. But trust me, when the winds blow the strongest, you'll need these answers the most. And I say it because I've experienced it, both professionally and personally. At Intuit, we ask ourselves these 3 questions on a regular basis to make sure we never lose sight of who we are and how these answers keep us grounded. Our mission is to power prosperity around the world. To do that, we want to be the champion of those who have dared to dream, the small businesses and the self-employed, who know the odds are stacked against them, and yet they get up every morning sustaining our local communities and powering the world's economy. We also fight to provide financial freedom for the individuals and families who live paycheck to paycheck, those who struggle to make it better for their children and for their children's children. We wake up every day with a passion to serve these individuals that are overlooked and underserved, and to serve those people who make a difference in their lives. Because we know when they succeed, prosperity around the world will increase. Now, in support of that mission, Intuit has a set of values. These are the behaviors we hold ourselves accountable for. And our test is whether our families will be proud to read in the news tomorrow how we behaved today. Our values are called the 3 B's and the 3 We's. Be bold, be passionate, be decisive, and we learn fast, we win together, and we deliver awesome. And these 3 B's and 3 We's sit on a foundation of 2 values that Scott Cook started this company with over 34 years ago. First, we will always operate with integrity without compromise. And second, we will be good corporate citizens, giving back to the local communities and the societies in which we operate. And finally, the third question, how do we measure success? We measure success in the only way that matters at Intuit, through your eyes. Did we help you solve the most challenging problems in your life? Did we give you benefit that changed your life? Did we increase the odds of success for you? And did we help you fulfill your personal definition of success? Because when you thrive, we all thrive. These 3 concepts, a mission, values, how you measure success, they form the center of your company, your life, and our company. We declare these out loud at Intuit. We teach it to every employee, and we use it as a way to be our center, our moral compass, as we continue to reimagine ourselves as a 34-year-old startup, readapting, reinventing, reimagining for a future world. I also say that it's worked in my personal life. I've looked to my upbringing, how my mother and father raised me, to be my moral compass. I may live in the Silicon Valley now, but I grew up as far away from the Silicon Valley as you can imagine, in a little town called Canova, West Virginia, population 3,100 if you round up. And my mommy and daddy taught me 3 important values that have grounded me throughout my life: integrity, humility, and teamwork. Over the years, people have tried to change me and who I am. In fact, one employer sent me to a speech class in New York to get rid of this accent. As you can see, the accent stuck, and so have my values, and I am so glad they did. Because when the chips are down, in those times when I've had to make difficult decisions or drive difficult change, being true to these values have made all the difference. And one of those core values, as I mentioned, was teamwork. And I learned the importance of this value at a very early age. Little Uncle Brad's story time. 1970, I was 6 years old. You can do the math. I was at home on a rainy November evening watching TV with my family when scrolling across the screen was a news flash that there had been a plane crash at the airport located in my hometown of Canova, West Virginia. That plane had been carrying the local Marshall University football team. Every soul on that plane perished. The players, the coaches, the various donors, the community leaders were on board, parents of my friends. I could see that mountain burning from my back bedroom window, and I could hear the sirens blaring as if it was yesterday. And it was a tragic night, and that event changed me forever. In the following days and years, I watched a community come together. I watched universities offer assistance. I saw a football program and families once again rise from ashes to glory. And it is a story now made famous in a movie called We Are Marshall, starring Matthew McConaughey. Now, from that tragedy, I learned a simple, unbreakable truth that I've carried with me ever since. Life is a team sport. That's why I have found my spiritual home at Intuit, where we believe that we want to unlock the power of many to enable the prosperity of the one. And it is why I love coming here with you at QuickBooks Connect, where we get together and treat each other and embrace each other as family. And if there's one thing I've learned throughout my life, from a childhood in West Virginia to being the CEO of Intuit, is that we are all in this together. And we need one another to reach our fullest potential. And I see that get reaffirmed every single day in this community. Accountants helping small businesses, developers helping solve big unsolved problems, platforms connecting partners in ways that create mutual success. And it's true, at times, especially these crazy, interesting times, you may feel alone. But I assure you, no one is alone. No one is alone here in this community. You have the power of many at your back. As they say in the HBO series Game of Thrones, winter is coming. But when the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Over the next couple days, I want you to look around. This is your pack. We win together. We fill that gap. We flip that coin. We will lift each other up. We are your pack. And no matter what your dream may be, however you may define success, let your next chapter of great begin today, unlocking the power of the many for the prosperity of each and every one of us. I love you like brothers and sisters. Welcome to QuickBooks Connect. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.